Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Sharon Doran. I am Treasurer and Membership Chair of BPW Barrie in beautiful Central Ontario. I'm also your moderator for today's BPW Canada Town Hall meeting. On behalf of the entire BPW Canada Membership Committee, I warmly welcome you to our first virtual Town Hall meeting. My first order of business is to call upon BPW Canada President Angie Godin to provide official greetings. Take it away, Angie.
Thanks, Sharon. I want to second what Sharon said and welcome everyone to our town hall on behalf of your BPW Canada executive. I'm hoping that we answer all of your questions. And if you have anything outside of this, always feel free to reach out to anybody on the executive. We're always happy to chat. Bonjour, bienvenue à vous tous. Je veux vous remercier de vous joindre à nous aujourd'hui. Nous espérons répondre à toutes vos questions et encouragerons toutes vos réflexions et opinions. Nous espérons pouvoir commencer une communication ouverte parmi les groupes locaux et l'organisation au niveau national. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Angie. Next, I'd like to call upon Doris Hall, a long-serving member of BPW London and a past BPW Canada president, to read our land acknowledgement.
Just give me a sec. It is with great reverence and that we acknowledge that we are gathering virtually this evening from the traditional lands of the First Nations, Inuit, and homeland of the Métis. As an organization emerging from settlers, we acknowledge our role in the impact of colonialism on the Indigenous people of this land and support the continued important work towards decolonization. We commit to continue our work, We commit to continue our work with Indigenous peoples and recognizing the 94 calls to action outlined in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada and the final report of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. We are grateful for the teachings and traditions, respecting the land, water, and air we breathe, and commit to bringing a responsibility of care to all our peoples.
Thank you, Doris.
I also want to add to that the BPW Canada acknowledgement. BPW Canada openly welcomes all persons who identify as women, regardless of race, religion, age, nationality, citizenship, geographic location, ability, marital status, social economic status, education, sexual orientation, or gender identity, and is committed to providing an inclusive, welcoming, and empowering environment for all members. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the BPW Canada Board of Directors, all of whom are ready, willing, and able to answer whatever questions you have for them today. We have President Angie Godin, immediate past President Karen Gorgera, first Vice President of Membership Shan McEwing, Vice President of Communications and Anti-Human Sex Trafficking Kelly Palin Franklin, Vice President of Resolutions, Colleen Babiak-Ilkew, Treasurer and Budget and Finance, Darlene Smith, along with Karen Gorgera. Ideas for Gender Equality, Ophelia Rijo and Sheila Krupp. Reproductive Rights and Justice, Mina Di Domenico. The UNCSW, Amanda Devison. Women's Work Program, Barbara Hall. And WEPS, Doris Hall. Thank you to all members of the BPW Canada Board for sharing your time and knowledge with us today. I would now like to introduce to some of our BPW Canada Membership Committee who are tasked with keeping today's Town Hall meeting running smoothly. Our timekeeper today is Anne Harvey of BPW Hastings and Prince Edward. Our screen monitor is Chantal Fraser, also of BPW Hastings and Prince Edward. And our reader of advanced questions is Charmaine Grace of BPW Niagara Falls. And now I do have some housekeeping items to share. Chantal has already put these in the meeting chat, so hopefully everyone's had a chance to take a look, but just to go over them together. Number one, please change your Zoom title to your first and last names, followed by your club name. To do this, hover over your own square and then click the 3 dots that are at the top right and click rename, which should be at the bottom of the options. Number 2 was to do a mic test before you enter the room, but I think it's a little late for that, so hopefully you had a chance to do that. We'll hope for the best. Next, on the topic of mics, please remain muted at all times unless you have been called upon to speak. Then immediately mute yourself again when finished. If you have a question, please raise your Zoom hand by clicking the icon at the bottom of your screen. This will notify Chantel, our screen monitor, that you wish to speak. Then please wait for her to acknowledge yourself before unmuting. Then, once you have been acknowledged, unmute, clearly state your name, your club name, the board member whom you wish to answer your question, and then go ahead with your question. Please know that we do have strict time limits for each question. Participants have 1 minute to ask the question, and board members have 3 minutes to answer. Our goal is to answer as many questions today as possible, so if more time is needed to answer a question, it will be up to the timekeeper and panelist answering the question to determine the length of any extension. Similarly, if more time is needed to clarify a question or an answer, the timekeeper will determine the appropriate amount of time to do so. If there are any questions regarding these housekeeping guidelines, please practice number 4 and 5 by virtually raising your hand using the hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen, then wait for Chantel to acknowledge you. So please go ahead if anybody has any questions on those guidelines. I think we're good. Thank you everyone for your attention. We will now proceed with our town hall.
Okay, I'm going to call on Charmaine to ask the first advanced question while people think of questions and have a chance to type it in the chat or figure out where the raise your hand button is. So go ahead and either type your questions in the chat or raise your hand. And Charmaine, I turn it over to you to ask the first question.
Thanks, Chantel. The first question that I have is for the president. Do clubs outside of Ontario have liability insurance for towns and for meetings and events? Sorry. Do clubs outside of Ontario have liability insurance for meetings and events? That's for our president.
Thanks for the question. This has been asked in the past, and we were looking to contact other clubs to see what kind of insurance they have. But as of right now, it hasn't been done yet, but it is on the agenda to do so. And we'll share that information once we gather it.
Still carrying on, are they covered if a member or guest is injured?
Yeah, that's another thing we have to find out. I know that BPW Canada, our insurance does cover that for national events. As to whether or not the local clubs have it, we have to contact them and determine what their policies are.
Thank you, Angie. Also, the question here is, has any club been sued?
Not that we're aware of.
No, okay, thank you. And does National have an insurance policy that clubs can fall under?
So as of right now, we do, and BPW Ontario clubs, I believe that they're looped in and pay a portion of that. If clubs are interested, that'll be part of the information gathering we do when we determine what clubs have what insurance. And then we'll see based on the rates on if they're wanting to join in on that national policy.
Okay, thank you, Angie.
Okay, Amanda has something she'd like to add to this. Go ahead, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda Devison, BPW Canada Vice President, UN and CSW, and immediate past president for BPW Moncton. So I can speak to the Moncton Club. We do, in fact, have coverage for liability coverage for when we host our events that would extend to guests if someone was injured. We've not had to ever use it. We've never been sued for it, to my knowledge, but we do have coverage. So we have insurance that covers the board of directors, and we also have insurance that covers our event and premises for should anyone be injured while attending our events.
Thank you, Amanda. Sharon, is your hand up to talk further about the insurance? Okay, Go ahead, Sharon, and then there's also a question in the chat that I'll read out after Sharon.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that all clubs in BPW Ontario are covered by both director's insurance as well as liability. It's a very hefty cost and it's increasing every year. It has no relation to BPW Canada whatsoever. We've gone ahead and done this on our own for the last decade at least, but it certainly is a question that is arising within Ontario as well as to whether there is going to be a national policy, and then if we could then merge the two together to hopefully get greater savings on both sides.
Okay, Charmaine, did you want to read out what Margot's added? And I see you, Lise. Just a second. Okay. Can you see the chat with what Margot wrote?
Yes, okay. Margot Davidson, just an observation. Wouldn't the venues be covered under their own policies, i.e. hotels, restaurants? Not sure if that's the case in Canada. And that's an insurance question, so that would probably be for Angie. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure what each venue has, but I would assume that they would have their own insurance for any injuries as well.
If I may comment on that, decades ago when I was part of Hamilton CAPS, the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, it came out that we always had to have our own insurance for the hotels. That was something new back then. So I don't know what's going on now.
Okay, thank you. Lise had something that she wanted to add. She's put it in the chat. Lise, would you like to say it out loud as well? Put your hand
Marie
down.
Chantal answered my question in the chat before I asked it. It was
Okay.
about if Section Montreal was covered, and it is. Thank you,
Okay.
Chantal. Chantal.
Okay. Thank you, Marie Chantal and Lise. All right. So now I'm going to hand it over to. We have somebody who's a retired insurance agent. So Helen, I see you, but Doris, did you have, you're taking your hand down, Doris? Okay, so.
I was just going to add to what Sharon said that clubs in Ontario are covered, but we pay a fee for that. We're charged each year as part of our membership, just so that the others know that
We're at 30 seconds.
Each club is paying their portion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I guess the question is, we've got two hands up that might be related to this question. Do we want to keep going? Amanda, go ahead, and then we'll go to Helen.
I just wanted to add that when the BPW Moncton board had spoken with an insurance advisor, we were advised we should have our own separate policy, because if the injured person wants to sue the venue and BPW Moncton, that we don't fall under the venue's insurance policy. That just covers them. It doesn't cover us. And so we needed to have our own coverage as well.
Okay, and I think that's Helen who's, yeah. Helen from BPW Montreal, you had something you wanted to add on this topic?
No, I everything sounds terrific. I'm a retired insurance broker, and I just wanted to avail, in case of questions, clarifications if required.
Thank you for volunteering, Helen. Okay, so have we covered this question sufficiently to move on to the next question? I know, Anne, we've probably gone slightly over time. Is there another question that somebody would like to ask, a new question not related to insurance? If so, please put up your hand. If not, we'll have Charmaine ask the next pre-prepared question. Seeing no hands, or while you're thinking about putting your hands up, Charmaine, if you could read the next pre-prepared question.
Thank you, Chantal. This question is for budget and finance. Can the Form 100 be simplified? Some clubs find it difficult to navigate unless they have a member who is fluent in Excel. So can we simplify the Form 100?
So if you're okay with that, Darlene, I'll respond to that. So to put into context, before we had this version of the Form 100, you could consistently look at a minimum of half a dozen, if not more, submissions of Form 100s were incorrect because the calculations weren't right. So we did have an expert in Excel put this together to make it easy for everybody. And it is easy. There's 4 drop downs that have to be completed, and we've all done forms with drop downs. So if you fill in those 4, and then the rest of it, it's free form to fill in, it calculates it for you. So there's no calculation needed. And every submission that we receive when it's filled out is correct. So we've not had to go back to clubs to correct it. There is a tip sheet that's available on the website right under the Form 100, and it can help go forward. You know, I could propose that we could have a webinar to show people how to do that. But there's something else that goes with that, is current treasurers helping the next treasurer coming in. And that happens a lot, where we have people coming into roles and then they finish the role and they go away and they don't help the incoming person. So one person can find it, you know, knows how to do it, but then when they leave the job, they don't help someone else. So that's something clubs could do as well. I think the form is as easy as it could be. It's just, you just have to read the instructions that are on the form. And once you've done it once, you can see it's the magic goes off and says, oh, how easy is this? So it's just a matter of, and I would also ask that when clubs are filling in the Form 100, that they fill in the Form 100, including putting the Y in the box for young BPW, because that's not being done. And we don't have an idea of how many young BPW members we have, because a simple thing of putting a Y in the box isn't completed. So, you know, certainly willing to have a webinar to show people to go through how to complete it. We can record it, put it on the website, but it is a two-way street as well. And if there's any questions, I've been happy to go through the form with people, and they've been able to fill it out very easily.
Sharon, would you like to add to that answer?
Yes, please. Just from an
30
Ontario
seconds.
perspective, as editor and a past membership chair, there are several clubs who do not have the technology within their own club to do it. And I personally have helped several clubs in the last few years, and no problem doing that. I just wonder if maybe it might be helpful if we had a specific person, like perhaps Karen or myself or someone within the organization, who we could have it right on the website. If you need help, please contact so-and-so. And I would be more than happy as well, just like Karen, to have a one-on-one while we're on the phone and help them with it. If you're an Excel person, as I am, it is super easy and fantastic. If you're not, it can be very confusing.
That's time.
Stan, do you have a new question, or were you wanting to say more about the Form 100?
Sorry, just a quick comment. Also, I would like to say that, you know what, maybe perhaps Treasurer and Sharon and myself, being membership chair, we could do a quick webinar one evening for everybody to join in. And again, it's something that we could probably have recorded and put on the website for future use for members. Because even though you're sending in and you're putting in the right amount of dollars, we're not getting the information we need. Like there's so many sometimes all we have is a name, no emails, no addresses, no phone numbers, nothing. So I think it would be a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Now we've gone over time and Anne's given me the eye. All right. Pauline, do you have a new question, or would you like to talk about the Form 100?
It's Form 100, and I'm just asking that somebody fix the number of years people have been with the club, because that column doesn't work for a few years now.
Thank you for bringing that up, Pauline. It's good to get this feedback right now while we're doing this. So if the Excel experts in the room could fix that, it'd be fantastic. And Marie Chantal, looks like you have something you want to add too.
Yes, I just want to know, sometimes people were members 3 years ago, and we make an effort to get them back. When we fill that form, do we have to say it's a new member, or because there were some year they were not there, or we have to say it's a renewal? Because of course, it doesn't mean that the year before he was a member. It can be 2 or 3 years before. So we never know how to how to deal with it.
Another great question. And these questions are making me think that quick webinar idea is a great idea to have it and do a recording and have some people like Pauline and Marie Chantal show up and ask some questions or send the questions in like in advance, like they have now. Okay. Anything else on the Form 100 before Anne reaches out through my text and bugs me and says, stop doing this, Chantal? All right. Are there any other questions from the floor that are on a new topic? If not, I'll ask Charmaine, and you just have to pop your hand up. Seeing no hands, I'm going to ask her. Oh, okay, Mina, thank you for asking a question from the floor. Go ahead.
Regarding the Form 100, has there been any consideration on behalf of the board to sort of look at automating the process? Right now, Brampton has forms that members need to fill in, and then those forms end up getting keyed into the Form 100. Then there's another area that sort of gets generated for constant contact to keep information up to date. I then put information into our website so that members can have access to private information. And I'm just wondering, maybe as we're getting new members joining the club, to take a step back and figuring out a way to look at this end to end. So as members join or renew, that they just do it right online, and that information goes into a database, and that database will then generate reminders for treasurers. National can see the number of French and English speaking members, and it would be a far more holistic view on improving the process versus working with the Excel spreadsheet.
More great feedback. Thank you very much. So I suggest that when we have this webinar, or before we have this webinar, Mina have a sidebar discussion with the folks who are doing our forms to explore whether we want to do this as an organization. Are there any new questions from the floor? Go ahead, Sharon.
Thank you. It is sort of related to the topic, but different a little bit, I think. The membership list that comes, I think it's only shared really within the BPW Canada board members. I usually get it occasionally to try and update some of our Ontario lists to make sure we're in sync. But I've noticed that A, it doesn't actually include all of the same information as the Form 100, and B, for the fields that it does include, they're in a completely different order. So it makes it really difficult to try and map it. So sort of carrying on with Mina's suggestion, which I think is fantastic, if we can somehow automate this information and then make sure that, you know, whether you're in Ontario or you're looking at it from a Canada perspective, that when you look at that membership list, it's directly pulling that information from that original form, and then it stays in the same order. That would be fantastic.
Okay, now I turn the floor to Marie Chantal.
And I think as much as we want the treasurer to be there, we need to have also the person in charge of the adhesion membership to make sure that the form we will use will be understood by both of them. And it would be fantastic if we can have a common ground on this, because it's hard for our treasurer to complete the form if she doesn't have the information, and if it's held by someone else, she doesn't know what the other person wants, and we have some changes of person in charge of both the sector right now. So I think it would be a great idea if you do a forum that both of them would be present, and then we will have a better view of what is needed from each of us.
Look at this town hall coming up with solutions as we ask questions. This is the power of BPW. Thank you so much. Okay, is there another question that somebody has, or should I turn it over to Charmaine to ask the next question? Charmaine, please go with the next question.
Okay, the next question is for club representatives. For the clubs that are growing their numbers, what is your secret, and can you please share? How are you growing your numbers?
Any volunteers?
Sorry, may I just say maybe if we have the clubs on that actually increased their membership last year, maybe share their tips and tricks as to how they were able to do that. So I believe we have Hastings and Prince Edward, we have London, we have Selkirk, BPW Online, and anyone else that wants to share.
Okay, I see Doris's hand up. Take it away, Doris.
Thank you. I'm a member of BPW London, and I am the membership chair for BPW London. And what's happening is it's all seems to be all through social media. People are looking on social media, and I think I would really encourage you to take advantage of your social media, all the different ones. That's where most of ours seem to come from.
Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Sharon.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm a membership chair and treasurer for BPW Barrie. We had some big decline during COVID of our numbers, but we're now climbing back, which is great to see. I would credit a lot of that in our case to we have a dynamic president who has put together a really great speaker program. And we've got a really lovely venue in town that has given us a nonprofit rate. We also got away from dinner meetings. So rather than having a full dinner, which makes it less affordable for some people, and also maybe people have so many dietary restrictions these days, it does make it very difficult unless you're in a restaurant that can cater to that. So instead, we just have some light refreshments, and that's what we offer, and people are welcome to partake or not. But so venue, maybe consider ditching the dinners, and make sure you've got fantastic speakers that bring in the guests and then convert them obviously to members. Thank you.
Thank you. Pauline, I'd love to hear what you'd like to share.
We partnered with Centennial College for a project, and I'm hoping those ladies will stay with us next year. But that's the thing. I think we have to go after the young ones. It's our only hope.
Hey, thank you. Shannon, over to you.
Thank you. I'm with BPW Online. I see Jeannie's put her hand up as well, who's also with BPW Online. So I think that because we're a bit unique in that we're strictly online, we don't have the whole venue option and also dinner option to have to worry about. But what we really focused on is our core values, and which to us is education and advocacy, because I think we have to be a bit unique in standing out from other women's organizations. And we really have to bring really good quality speakers in to raise awareness on women's issues and to really do some advocacy, because I think that's what a lot of young people are really looking for. I do echo the social media, that I think we need to really get our game up on social media, and particularly where the young people are, which is Instagram, I'm assuming, and all those other ones, which I know nothing about besides Facebook. But I really think having good speakers, we've had 4 senators speak, and honestly, you can reach out to these people and you'd be amazed who you can get to speakers. But yeah, advocacy and education, I think, are really key, and having our core values at the forefront of that. Thank you.
Hey, I'd like to turn it over to Amanda.
We're over time now, so I'm going to extend it a bit.
Yeah, I think this is gold.
Yeah.
Okay, Amanda.
Thank you. So I'm going to speak on behalf of Moncton. So we did have we maintained our membership during COVID and also have grown. I think it was 30-some% from last year to this year, and continuing to see growth across the board. So one of the things we do a lot is discuss. We wanted to keep our meetings fun. So our monthly meetings, whenever we got into heavy topics, we actually had to cancel meetings a few times when we specifically went down some heavy or advocacy roads. We didn't have anyone register, and we noticed it wasn't resonating. So we kind of switched gears a bit and tried to focus on fun and connection. Like, how could we build that community, that sense of community? And the way that we then interwove advocacy came from partnering with other local organizations. So there's lots of people with boots on the ground who have full-time employees who are doing this work, where we're a volunteer organization. All of us have like full-time jobs during the day, not necessarily in advocacy fields. So how could we use the power of our club to shine a spotlight on those organizations that are doing the work and are have their hand on the pulse, and bring them into our meetings to kind of present? And it kept it engaging, because a lot of these people have strong brands throughout the community. So we were able to build back the advocacy part in that way. we did look at different venues. We're trying different stuff. We're mixing things up. So there's a different venue that opened up that does cooking classes. So one of our monthly meetings was that. We got together and did that. Our one for October, we're actually going to Farmer Brown's, and we're going to do autumn centerpieces. Like, we're all going to design our own. So we're trying to come up with some different ways to spotlight also some local businesses throughout Moncton that people may or may not know about, and that we could kind of bring our club there and have some fun again. We do door prizes or raffle tickets, and usually our guest speaker, we ask them for an organization, a nonprofit that's dear to them, and we donate the money raised from that. So again, another link back to our community. We do use social media a lot. One of the things we also noticed was we had a lot of people on our newsletter mailing list, but a lot of times we were just blasting out that, asking them to come to our meetings. And so we started thinking more about how can we provide some value? So how can we introduce ourselves as who we are as a club, and also provide some interest of what are the things women are talking about or facing in the workplace that we can kind of send out a little blog post about, that we're also giving value instead of just trying to take from the people on our mailing list, that we were actually given some value as well. So we try to kind of preload a bunch of those, schedule them to go out at various times. So then it's kind of a one and done versus somebody trying to come up with stuff all the time. And we've also gone out several years in a row now and gone to our members and asked them specifically for one-on-one feedback. So the membership chair and also different people, the membership committee, we would divide up our list of members. They would reach out to them, and whether it was email, Zoom, meet for a coffee, we would ask very detailed questions of what is working for you? What do you want to see more of? What do we need to stop doing? And we had to be open to that constructive criticism if we wanted to keep our club growing. So those are kind of some of the things we've done in Moncton over the last few years.
Thank you. That's fantastic. We're going to have Jeannie and then Kelly share their thoughts, and then Anne will let us know if we can keep going and talk about our club after that.
We're at 7 minutes now, so.
Okay, go ahead, Jeannie.
And Chantel, just a couple quick things just to add on to Shanna McNeil's point. Because we are online, one thing that if you have in your club an only online event, let us know about it so we can help you market that with our database. So yes, we're the online club, but if you have a purely online event that's open to BPW members across the country, let us know so we can help you market that, okay? We are just switching now up to LinkedIn. We now have a LinkedIn group, so please go there and join it. Join the group, because what we're trying to do is create some conversation going on with particularly some of the more advocacy topics we've got. We've got one coming up. Our advocacy topic this next month in October is with Kelly Favreau, who was the BC woman who was the first BC woman to get her name taken off so that she could actually talk about her own sexual abuse legally. So there's a lot of stuff around that. So we want to encourage actual conversation before she speaks and after she speaks by having this new linked on LinkedIn conversation group. So if you're not doing that, maybe that might be something you want to do. And I think too, in the sense of whoever just said that, sending out from Moncton, I love that idea of with your announcements, adding some content. I'm not going, but this is really useful, because I think the outcome of that is someone's going to forward that to someone else who likes the article and the announcements attached to it. So that's pretty brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Over to Kelly.
Hi, so I have been encouraged to get to know the clubs across Canada and who's focusing on what and where they are and when they meet. That was really helpful when we had information about what clubs in Canada or Ontario were meeting on what nights, etc. So what I found really useful for those that I was engaged with in community or through other organizational meetings, I think I've sent 4 members to London Club, and 3 of them have taken membership based on their engagement with me about projects. So instead of just getting involved with them in projects, helping them to find their community with BPW London, and then they're able to advance their work on a task force or in bigger conversations or webinars. They can also be pointed to other activities or things that are of interest to them and their friends circle, so that circle is bigger. Also sending folks to our online club. We have BPW, a young BPW. We're finding that their communication streams are WhatsApp. they're not even linked in anymore. So using that for them to help advance my information of how to stay connected and connect them to clubs has been really useful. They're not even using emails anymore. They're sending all their attached documents through WhatsApp. So I think if we start to understand kind of that curve that's coming our way, that's already in the post-secondary and young adult arena, it would be a powerful vehicle for us growing our membership. Thank you for giving me the floor.
You're welcome. And even though we're over time, Anne has said that I'm allowed to do a very quick sum up of what our club, Hastings and Prince Edward, is doing. And to sum up, we have been partnering with a bunch of different organizations, community organizations that are supporting women and supporting business. We've been running events, joint events. We've been running events explaining what it is that we do and explaining that basically we offer a buffet of options. Our options are, you can focus on learning how to lead, you could focus on learning, you could focus on collaborating, or you could focus on advocacy. And we don't expect every member of our club to do all four. So our events are a mix of online and in person. They're a mix of fun and more serious. And that way people can choose to attend the events that speak to what interests them in our buffet of options. And that's helped us increase our membership to, I believe we're at 15 now, Anne?
We're at 16.
Oh, 16, yes. So we're at 16. So it's, and I love all the other ideas that have been shared, and I'm sure Anne and I are going to take some home to our club as well. So
And we're at 12 minutes now.
yeah, so we should stop this question here unless there's somebody who's got something new they'd like to add and move on to the next question. Is there somebody who has a new question that would like to step up from the floor, or shall I turn it over to Charmaine to ask the next pre-submitted question? So Kelly, is your hand up for a question, or is, okay, cool. So Charmaine, you ask the next pre-prepared question, please.
Okay, the next question is for membership, and there's two questions. I'm going to ask them together because they're kind of the same. Yeah. No, maybe they're not. Let's start with the first one. What do our membership fees pay for? What do our membership fees pay for? And
All right, thanks, Charmaine. So what do our membership fees pay for? They pay for a lot of things. Every club has a different membership fee. So depending on what your initial fee is as to how much stays in the club, how much do you put towards other events and things going on in your area and in your community. But part of your fees that get paid, $45 of that goes to international. $50 goes to BPW Canada, and $4 for travel pool goes to BPW Canada. So that travel pool that every member pays helps to pay for delegates that are going to convention. It helps pay for some of their costs. They get paid so much money every time they go to a convention, depending on how much is in the pot and how many delegates attend. The other money that goes to national helps keep your BPW Canada national organization going. As you heard earlier, we have insurance that needs to be paid, for example, that is not cheap. We have other communities that we are members of that we pay membership dues for. So it's not just BPW that collects membership dues. And then the international dues, of course, they have things that they need to keep going on their end as well. The little bit that we do pay to national and international, I think we definitely get a lot back from those two organizations. And I don't know, maybe some other clubs might want to chime in as to what the balance of those membership fees do for their local clubs.
Lise, did you want to respond?
A question, when you say national, do the clubs, like I'm from Montreal, does the Montreal chapter receive anything from the money I give to subsidize whatever? Do you understand my question? When you say you give money to international and to national, does national include all the clubs in the various areas of Canada?
There we go. Thanks, Lise. So what happens is at national, the funds that we receive, like I said earlier, it helps keep our organization going. And in return, the grassroots members or the club members, they are a part of a national organization that helps us speak for women that may not have a voice. You take part in the resolutions, and when the resolutions are passed at a national convention, then we put a brief together and it is presented to your federal government. For example, at our last convention, we had a few of them that have been put into a brief, and they will go to Ottawa, to the proper members that look after those portfolios. And hopefully what we're doing is we're trying to, number one, make awareness to these politicians. We are asking for them to look into certain issues and hopefully fix what's broken for women across Canada. So all of these things, when we do this, takes funding, and that is what the funding from your individual membership as part of national goes to. And there's a lot more. Perhaps maybe Angie or Doris or Karen can add on to what I've said for where you're going to get your fee or what you're going to get out of your national fees, Lise.
We're at 4 minutes.
Okay, I think we need a bit more time, Anne. So Shan, you asked if somebody wanted to add to answering Lisa's question. Is there somebody that was named that wanted to add to what Shan said?
Yes, so as our current president or past president, if they can kind of elaborate a little bit more as to when they were in the president's seat, as to what else our members are getting from national from their point of view.
I'll speak to that, Shan. So there's the cost for any board to run an organization. So that's where those costs come from, your membership dues. There's the responsibility of usually the president or the executive to attend things. So that helps them, that covers travel costs for them or holding meetings and such. I mean, all our meetings are virtual, but there are places where we need to attend. Going to CSW in New York is very important for us to have a place there to attend regional or international meetings because we are a member of international. So we need to be a part of that. And then the regular running of things, having a Zoom, all the operations that go with that. So that's what your $50 comes from, and you are part of an international or a national organization. Then some of the rest of your dues are sent to international, and that gives you the ability to be part of an international organization that's doing amazing work around the world and participate in things that are happening internationally. And then the difference usually then the clubs are keeping money for themselves as well as part of your membership dues. So not knowing what the membership dues are, as Shan explained, some of it goes to international, some of it goes to national and travel pool. In Ontario, there's provincial organizations, so some goes to provincial for the provincial body to do the work that's necessary to keep the organization going. And then the clubs keep the rest for their expenses that they need at the local level. So I hope that maybe explains a little bit.
As Doris, I just want to add a couple of things to that, to what Karen said. I think one of the most important things for clubs to remember is that your club only exists because of BPW Canada being a registered not-for-profit organization, registered with the government, and that's what gives us credibility. That's what gives us this, an opportunity to participate in the world as well as all across Canada. And it also opens the door for any member who wants to step up and learn and become a part of an executive. It's a wonderful opportunity to improve your personal portfolio and just learn a lot. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mina now because I believe she has something related to this, and then to Maddie Chantal. Mina, go ahead.
Thank you. Mina Di Domenico from the Brampton Club. We have a large group of entrepreneurial women. So once a month, it's a really big deal for them to come together as a community. I think working on your own is can be pretty trying versus working in a corporation. And we're very transparent about our membership dues. So our membership dues are $150 a year, and about less than $4 goes to the club. And we do try to promote that the costs of national, provincial, and international are really about training, infrastructure costs, maintaining websites, operational costs, and also the costs of just being engaged in advocacy. So I'm just wondering, maybe to the first person's point on, I think we just need to be more transparent. And I know some club websites have done a good job of highlighting where the money goes. And I just think we just need to add additional information to say dues are part of operational, training, infrastructure, and advocacy costs. I think that might help.
Thank you for those suggestions, Mina. Over to Maddie Chantal.
Okay, I just want to add, for the purpose of the member of my club that is here today, that there is, because I didn't hear it, there is some program for BPW Canada. I'm thinking about work. And we didn't have succeed in the past to receive some funding. So we hope this year we'll be able, with a new team, to figure it out how to apply and have success to receive, because it's the question that came the most often from our member. Why are we paying 175? And I'm just telling you that also when I went for the first time in the Congress last year, BPW Canada paid back some fees and some déplacement to traveling expense, part of it at least, and some for some event. But of course, the amount we gave as a member, sometimes the people forget that even right costs something. The internet costs something. There is a lot of regulation. We don't have an office with people working in it. It's all volunteer work. And when I go to traveling to go in international or local or in the Canada, I always said to my member, I'm paying for my own fees because my club cannot afford even the president. I understand we support Canada and we support international that goes in those meetings, but for us, it's a lot of money because we're paying for all our own expense. So we have to explain that the fees are not something, it requires a lot of the amount that we give. It's not we're not offering monthly services. We need those money to make sure that the club is functional. And so someone else before me talked about it. I think it's a good thing to say now everything is online, everything needs support for event, for everything. It costs a lot of money, and it's the cost to be a member of an international organization. But at the same time, we have each of club have to survive. And so when they don't understand it well, and we have also the COVID that came in the middle of all this, it's hard to keep our member if they don't understand what they're paying for. And the youth especially think that they paid for services. And they ask me, why do I pay 175? It doesn't give me a contract tomorrow. Well, it's not the purpose of our club. It's not a chamber of commerce. It's not any kind of other organization. We're there to support each other. But it has to be explained and said, because otherwise they don't get it. And after that, they just leave.
Yeah, all great points, Chantal. And Marie Chantal. And je me porte comme volontaire pour faire une session avec BPW Montréal pour discuter comment remplir les demandes pour women's work. OK? On pourrait faire ça offline une autre journée. Okay? So just for those who don't understand French, I just volunteered to help the BPW Montreal Club understand how to fill out the application so that they can benefit from the women's work funds as well. And now I'm going to turn it. Okay, Anne, I know we've blown the
13.
time. Yeah, but I think this is really important. So I'm going to turn it over to Shan for her comments.
Thanks, Chantal. So this comment is two parts. Number one, our online club, we try to raise funds to help our members go to convention, which kind of lessens the burden on our club itself, because we don't, like I say, we have guest speakers, but we don't have in-person events to help us with that. My other comment to Marie Chantal, you're talking about work. Work is not part of BPW. It's kind of like a byproduct of BPW. So what I would like to do, because that's been brought up here in a couple different conversations about membership, if I could turn this over to Barbara Hall, who is the president of our women's work, and she will be able to explain exactly what this is and how you go about doing things. And just a point of reference, there is a recording on our website about work and how to go about it and how to apply and everything. So Barbara, can I turn this over to you? I know it's not membership, but I think it's a good point to be made.
We don't hear.
Barbara, could you turn on your mic, please?
Oh, there, thought I did. All right, hi, everybody. I am a member of BPW, but as Shan said, Women's Work, we're a separate entity, and we are a charitable organization with the object of providing funds to support seminars sponsored through BPW clubs across Canada. And these seminars must be specifically centered on helping women increase their knowledge in areas that will help them to become successful in business and politics, and to provide information on issues specific to women. The original funds for setting this up, for those of you who've been in BPW 30 years or more, like some of us, was the Centenary Fund, which members gave donations in memory of, or bequeaths and things like this, to build up to help the clubs in these educational beings. And somewhere along the line, it wasn't filed properly, and the CRA said, you've lost your charitable status and you haven't filed for a couple of years, so we need to now reclaim that money. And Jill Warbeck, those of you who knew her, she's a past provincial president and, pardon me, national president as well. She worked really hard to find another property that will go through it. So we are now under Cadence, and they are charitable organization. So through them, Women's Work was developed, and we were able to move the funds that came originally from BPW members into this fund, and now we're able to give back. And as Shan said, you apply through BPW Canada membership, everything's online, and then following the guidelines there, your application is sent from BPW Canada membership to the board of directors of Women's Work. And I will correct, I was the secretary treasurer, now I'm just the treasurer, and Doris Hall, my twin sister, is the, that's a joke, that she is the current president. And then that application is sent to the directors. We have 7 of us that sit on that board, review them and see whether we can offer you the funds. So Marie Chantal, if you applied and you didn't get funding, you may not have applied in the correct manner. So I do hope you've had an offer of someone to help you do that. We do have funds. And Shan, I think we had 6 applicants from various clubs, and we're offering up to $500 for your event. So we are trying to assist you in some ways that way, but it's not money that we can give you for traveling here and there in the next place. It has to be an educational invite, which the public is invited to, as well as members, and that passes. We need to do that for the CRA regulations. And I will just say right now that there are some clubs that know how this works. They apply every chance they get. And there are some clubs that haven't. And I know that you put on these events. So please get in contact with Shan and through membership, and have a discussion with her about the membership. I must stay at arm's length, so you cannot speak to me directly as women's work, but I do communicate with the BPW Canada board. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Okay, Anne, I know we've like totally blown our time period for this question, but I think it was important. Barbara, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying, I think it's important that we spent this 12 or 15 minutes going through all this, and that you help clarify what it is that we offer. Shan and I did the video that's on our website, but it's only in English, which is why I've offered to do this in French with Marie Chantal and the BPW Montreal Club. My French isn't perfect, but it's pretty darn decent. So sometimes it's easier if you're listening to the instructions in your own language. So, okay, now, is there anything? There's been some great stuff in the chat. Okay, so please go read the chat. And I believe the way we're sharing this, you'll be able to access the chat with the recording. There's lots of nuggets of information in there. I don't want to read them out because I want to give the chance for another question. So is there a question on anything other than membership fees and women's work and anything else from the floor? If not, and I'm taking a deep breath, Charmaine, take it away with our next question.
Well, the next question on the list is about what we just talked about, like what benefits do we get from our membership fees? And I think that was covered pretty clearly. Am I right? So we're going to go on to a question for President for National and Ontario. And the question is, are there opportunities for BPW Ontario and BPW Canada to share their resources and responsibilities with other clubs? I'll repeat that. Are there opportunities for BPW Ontario and BPW Canada to share their resources and responsibilities with other clubs?
Thanks for that, Charmaine. I'll start off. In terms of sharing resources, we do have a lot of content available on our website. There's various webinars, information, there's handouts, there's pamphlets. It's just a matter of going down the rabbit hole and finding that, which is really easy to navigate online. And also I encourage anybody, just if you're looking for something in specific, reach out to us, see if we can help you out. We're always willing to help. And I can speak for myself that if you send me a text or you send me an email, I will answer, and I'll do my best to help.
Thank you, Angie. Anne, did you have something you wanted to add from the BPW Ontario side? You turned your mic on. Okay, Colleen's got something. Okay, so Colleen, over to you.
Yes, well, I just wanted to echo what Angie has said in terms of anyone interested in, as part of my role, being involved in advocacy and resolutions. We would love to hear from anybody who has any specific requests. Our website, as Angie mentioned, is full of resources. But, I think sometimes people don't always, it's a big website, there's a lot of information in there and it's easy to get lost. And if you don't know it's there, you don't know what you're looking for. So I would really be happy to have anyone reach out to me. We've got, in terms of advocacy, we've got information on draft letters to write to your MPs. We've got videos on how to have a conversation if you're meeting with someone in our parliament or legislature. How to write a resolution. What do you do afterwards, after you write the resolution? What are some ideas about how you can get those ideas in action? So there's lots and lots of material, but I would encourage anyone who's interested to or has a question. I'm really happy to have an email or a phone call from you, and would love to work together. One other thing, if I just could add as well, and it kind of relates a little bit to a conversation before in terms of where do our resources go. I want to say that one of the things with BPW that always strikes me is the amount of volunteerism that goes into this organization, where it's at the club level, the national level, international. Like, there is so much volunteerism that goes on. And someone had popped a question in the chat about, well, are our membership fees enough? Probably, I think we're all having to do with less. There's some organizations that have got, full-time staff that are researching different issues and developing materials. We don't have that luxury here at BPW. We in terms of advocacy, we limit. We're finding we have to limit the number of topics that we're really looking at, because we just don't have the resources to do everything, as we see that's also happening at the club level. So I think the more that we can share what we're doing, if we can, from advocacy, bring you some speakers or make some suggestions as well, I think we've all got to work together. I think also from the point of view of BPW Canada, like with resolutions and advocacy, we're here to help the clubs. We're also we also recognize we're one of the leaders in gender equality in the world. And we want to spread that with the world, because people in less fortunate places look to us to see what we're doing. And so getting involved, as we are now, with even developing some resolutions to go forward to the International Congress in a year's time, we see as a really important role for us to maintain this leadership on the world stage. So thank you. Thanks for letting me have the floor.
Thank you, Colleen. Sharon, over to you.
We're at 5 minutes.
Okay, Sharon, over to you. But is it, if it's related to this question, try to be brief, and then
I will be brief, if I may. I just wanted to clarify that I think this question came from BPW Ontario, from the board itself, in terms of, we see a lot of duplication of what we're doing versus Canada. So for example, on the insurance front, for example, we have a mentorship program that is fantastic in Ontario and would love to see it shared across Canada. I think there's just some opportunities that we would really like to see the two boards try and get some synergy and work together, so that we're all competing for board members. And, if Ontario is duplicating some of the things Canada is, and vice versa, if we could try and have it at the Canada level, and we support that instead of us doing it provincially, it would help both organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're speaking on behalf of BPW Ontario. And Harvey, do you have anything you wanted to say from the side of BPW Ontario?
I would like to echo what Sharon said. We absolutely will support everything BPW Canada it takes on. And I know there have been a couple of things that we've duplicated, and we've kind of stopped doing that and moved it on to the BPW Canada. So whatever we can do to consolidate, that would be really, really amazing to free up some bodies. And we're at 6.5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Nina, do you have something related to this question or a new question?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add that BPW Ontario had a fantastic resolution just in June that I thought was so powerful that could have easily been shared with all the other provinces across Canada. And again, just trying to take a look at ways of not reinventing the wheel. There's good work that happens all across Canada. And I just think we kind of need to step back and take a look at where the expertise is and figuring out a way of leveraging that. Otherwise, it's very difficult for members to be on so many committees and boards. So I like this idea, and I'm glad this question came up. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Because our timekeeper has said, you know, we're gone over time again. Are there any new questions out there? If not, I'm sure Charmaine is prepared to ask the next question that was submitted in advance.
Okay, the next question.
I'm sorry, I have a new question.
Great.
It's Lise from
Go
Montreal.
ahead. Go ahead, Lise.
It's a question. Our society right now is going through hell. With the pandemic, with the inflation, with everything, mortgage, housing, you name it. Does BPW Canada, do we have a role in supporting members that are affected by what the hell's going on in society right now? It's a social question here. Going to the president, maybe? No?
Hi, Lise. We don't have anything specifically in terms of financial support for any members that are going through anything. Unfortunately, our budget has been pretty tight. But we could always encourage maybe our clubs to come up with some kind of fundraising initiatives to help other people. But that's the only thing I can suggest off the top of my head.
Okay, Angie, I wasn't only talking about giving money, but maybe support, all kinds of supports, like to give them ideas where to go for help.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. You're looking for more resources. Yeah, local resources. I think that would be more suitable for provincial or local organizations because every area is so different in terms of what support there is. But it's definitely something we can look into.
Merci, Angie.
Merci.
Hey, Shan, would you like to add to that?
No, actually, this is a new comment. I just noticed that Sheila has to leave here in a few minutes. So does anyone have any questions for Sheila on ideas, or Sheila, would you like to have a few minutes to input and let everybody know about ideas?
I think if there aren't any specific questions, I think that probably it looks like the leadership team can handle probably any of the questions that the members might have if they start to percolate. But I would like to take this opportunity to just acknowledge a couple of things. And one, I see so many of the BPW Montreal team members on today. And we're so excited to be working. The Ideas team has been so excited to work with them to be the next host for the next Ideas event that is taking place on October 18th. And the registration information is all available, as well as the program and the speakers and all that kind of stuff on that link that I've inserted into the chat. So please do pass that along to your members who maybe didn't get to attend the October event in 2022, because it's going to be a spectacular event. It's fully bilingual. So anybody can register to attend. If you want to come to Montreal, you'll have a blast. And if you can't, then register virtually. And the only other thing I wanted to share was also we're going to be debuting the solution that the solution builders from the August 12th event have been working diligently for the last almost year, really, to launch the inclusive person-centered online hiring solution that is now also available. And any organization and business can use these tools and resources that are in this self-directed resource. And it's pretty exciting. We're in soft launch. We're going to do the formal debut on October 18th. So thanks to the entire team and everybody who's been engaged in all those processes. And there's an event coming up in August 3rd, I think it is, where we will be also working with Shan and the team to provide the summary reports and individual club customized reports from the GBA Plus membership survey, so that clubs can begin to start to build an ideas strategy for reaching out to their community and moving forward to also build membership. So those are the three things in a nutshell. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Sheila, and thank you for being with us for the time you were able to this morning. Have a great rest of your weekend. Okay. Any questions for Sheila before she jumps out? She might be gone. Okay, so the board can answer any questions about that later. Okay, any new questions from the floor? Charmaine, take it away.
This next question is for our president. When should I reach out to a board member?
That is a great question. You should reach out to a board member at any time you want. We're always here for you. We're here to serve you. We're here to support you. We're here to chat with you. Anytime you want to speak to someone, you can just send it through. It doesn't have to be a specific question or commentary or anything. If you just want to learn more, all of our contact information is on our website as well. And we're really responsive in our communication. So feel free to any time, even if you want to just reach out and say, hello, I'd like to get to know you better. Because, we are humans behind the scene as well. So I would encourage anyone at any time.
Yay, we were under time for one question. Okay. Any more questions from the floor? If not, I'll hand it over to Charmaine. Go ahead, Charmaine.
Okay, this next question, I think we've already covered it. It's for membership and it says, why should we have to pay dues? I think that is that.
I think we spent the 3 minutes we could have answered this question when we answered it the first time. So
I think we did. So
Yeah.
let's move on. The next one is it says for past president. The name BPW, Business and Professional Women, is antiquated. Technically, all women who are earning a wage are eligible to join, but don't because the name is confusing and tends to scare some women away that are not working in a professional or business position. Okay, there's no follow-up question, but I guess the question is do we need to change the name? The name BPW, Business and Professional Women, is antiquated. Technically, all women who are earning a wage are eligible to join, but don't because the name is confusing and tends to scare some women away that are not working in a professional or business position.
I just want to comment to that question before our president answers. I've had people in our community come to me and say, I don't think that I qualify for joining BPW because I don't think I've accomplished enough. So that's kind of a corollary to the question. There's some people who feel intimidated by our name. So now turning it over to our president to talk about our name.
I think it was for me, for past president.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So as a member of the International Federation of Business and Professional Women, we can't change our name. And I think it's as simple as that. So it kind of turns it around to all of us educating and talking to potential members who someone says, well, I just work at a store in the mall. Well, that's okay. You're a professional retail employee. That's fine. You're a professional. So it's helping that it's really helping women understand and have more self-confidence that they are a professional no matter what they do. They don't have to be a doctor. They don't have to be a lawyer to be classed as professional. They can be a professional speaker. They can be a professional whatever. So we can't change our name because, you know, since 1930, we were a founding federation and that's who we are. So it's just kind of turns it around to all of us helping encourage members to come because the name needs to stay the same.
Thank you,
Thank you for yeah, thank you for that succinct answer, and thank you, Charmaine, for noticing my mic was muted. I saw Marie Chantal's hand go up and then drop down. Marie Chantal, did you have something you wanted to add before we go to Amanda?
I just want to say that when we do some advertisement for recruitment, we've been there for almost 100 years, but as everything else, maybe the name have changed. And I agree with what Karen says, but in the context that I think we should say that if you want to move on in your business, or even if you're working for the government or a big company, we're there to help you to propulser en avant, to give you a hand to get better. And being a professional or in a business or an entrepreneur, it's not something that has to be, we have to have a wide view of what it is. It's compared to not having a professional life or not having a job. In 100 years, in the past 100 years, of course, it was different than it is right now. So we just have to adjust our message when we do some recruitment and include all the other keyword that welcome everybody. That's what I think.
Thank you, Marie Chantal. Okay, turning it over to Amanda.
Kind of building on Marie Chantal's point. So similarly, I find that sometimes we also use the acronym a lot. So we say BPW Moncton, but outside of our members, who knows what that means? So we started being more deliberate in saying Business and Professional Women of Greater Moncton, because even our social media, it was all the acronyms. And if somebody just came across our page, do they even, like, what does that mean, right? That doesn't mean anything outside of the members. So we started becoming more deliberate on making sure we use the full name. We also spent time on our website of talking about who we are to make sure there is an about us and who we are message. We took a look at our membership to say, like, what are there buckets of types of women we attract? And we did find out that, yes, there's the ones that they're entrepreneurs. We have one bucket of entrepreneurs. We have a bucket of people who work in the corporate world or professions. And we also have a bucket of women who work for not-for-profits, government, public sector. So are we speaking to those women, and what is our messaging overall? So you have to put some thought and strategy into it, depending, because the mix is going to look different for different clubs. But how are we positioning ourselves? Same thing, we've been here in Moncton for over 75 years, but you know, if you walk around to other organizations in the community, how many people know who we are? And so we kind of tried to take that onto ourselves of how do we lift our profile? And that was through a lot of partnerships. Like, we're working with the Chamber of Commerce a lot now, so that we can, again, that gives us more legitimacy, adds more profile. They're leveraging, like, they're able to lift us up with them as well. And then also we talked about, so we know we can't change our logo and we can't change our name, but hey, you could come up with a cute slogan. So like we did, support your local girl gang is the slogan that we introduced when I was in my presidency. It was provocative, it had people talking, but that was the whole point, right? So it's like you can come up with some interesting things to work around the limitations when it comes to the logo looking dated, or like, because we can't change the logo, so that's the logo, you have to own it. and you can't change the name, you have to own it. But are there some kind of more refreshed ways that you can incorporate taglines or slogans, and how are you communicating who your club is and what, you know, who's welcome to join? You can kind of look at some, and those are kind of cost neutral things, right? Like what does your social media say? What does your website say? Those are just tweaks you can make that don't necessarily cost a whole lot of money, that could help clarify who you are and what you're doing, and who can become members.
We're
Great
at 6
answer.
minutes.
Okay, great answers. I did see the question, what about professional mothers? So I'll turn that over to past President Karen to say if you want to add an answer to that.
Well, there's probably no greater professional out there than being a mother. That's for sure. So, you know, it depends, you know, you need to have a certain number of your members based on our bylaws that are in the labor field, that are working. But you know, if someone's a mother and she's going to go back to work, then that's up to the club to you know, sign her up and make her a member and make her ready for that labor market when she goes, and giving her that self-confidence that she's a professional in what she's doing. You know, she's balancing everything. So absolutely.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you very much. Please talking.
Great. I see, Doris, you have your hand up. Did you want to add to that?
Just one quick thing. I just wanted to say that we have a member in our club who was a foster mother, and that is definitely a profession. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So moving on, is there any other question from the floor? And if not, let's turn over to Charmaine for another question. Okay, Charmaine, over to you.
Okay, I just shut my mic off to talk. Okay, this question is for resolutions and ideas for GE. How are we handling the label of women? How are we addressing this? Should our bylaws be changed or updated? Again, how are we handling the label of women? How are we addressing this? And should our bylaws be changed and updated? Our resolutions person.
Hi, it's Colleen here. It's a great question. We have added, it's an evolution for sure. We have had some language inserted into our bylaws for the 2022 year that mentioned that our trying to remember the exact clause, but that we were an organization that embraced diversity and inclusion. And we also looked back at some of our clauses and tried to neutralize some of the pronouns rather than having it specifically as he or as she. So there was some attempt to do some neutralizing on that. So I think that, I mean, this is the year, if anyone has any suggestions in terms of, you know, bylaw changes, this is a year when we are open to any kind of changes for the 2024 convention. It's a discussion that I think we need to have. And I think I might just ask Doris, you know, with your ideas for gender equality, whether or not you have any observations as to the work that you've done in terms of where we might be, how we might approach this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Colleen. I think it's just to get our heads around the fact that, you know, there are people who identify differently than others, and that we're accepting and respecting all of those. And I think that's what I said in the land acknowledgement, that the statement from BPW Canada. It just takes a little time, but I think we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer, and more people are open to, and the meeting that Shanna is having on October 3rd is really going to be talking a lot more about that. I would encourage everyone to join that if you have the time.
Thank you, Doris. I'm going to turn it over to Kelly now, and then after Kelly, Anne.
So, under the rule of law, kind of that we operate under through our constitution and bylaws, both in Canada, internationally, and as BPW, we have full recognition of all gender, all face, all ethnicities, and all diversity. However, I would caution us that there has been huge pushback to discontinue with the identification of women and girls, specifically that language, as was ratified in CEDAW, that there are some succinct gaps in services. And I'll give you an example, menopause. The Canadian government is having a very difficult time ratifying that. So we agree, if you look at our information, and we need to continue to advance this and look at it, but I would point us to the policy in 2022, the Guide on Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion by the Government of Canada that's readily available. And they came out with a policy directive to modernize the Government of Canada and anybody that's registered through CRA or institutionally or in business, with a guide on sex and gender information and practices. That was an updated model of what they put out in 2008. And one of the things that it reads is, under the precedence of rule and law, is that gender-specific language is available to use for references for persons of one gender in a provision dealing with only that gender. So like I precluded the conversation with, if we're talking about menstruation rights and menstruation care, that very often doesn't get added to reproductive rights, but it's very concerning for women and girls in all their diversity. And as well, abortion as women's reproductive rights, that those will not withstand inclusive language other than for direct oppressed practices. So the Government of Canada has given us information to have gender language, but we have to be careful that the gender language is also not used to obliterate the specific oppressed practices and gaps to services and supports in women and girls. We especially see this internationally when they're trying to ratify things. And so as Canadians, we're really cognizant. For example, removing the word violence against gender and women, violence against women. We need to be cognizant that, of things like, of the 280 million globally that are without education or basic reading and writing skills, that over 2/3 of them are women and girls. And so we don't want to take away from being inclusive in our language, but also know historically that the obliteration of us in the conversation is exactly what digressed our activities in the past. So I just caution us before we have a bunch of opinions on this, to look at the research on it, to be intersectional, to continue to be absolutely inclusive, but also don't lose our voice for those that are marginalized and voiceless in our society and historically what we've stood for. And I'm open to further discussions on this, but it's the basis of a lot of the research that I'm engaged in right now, especially at UNCSW for the Human Rights Committee. Thank you for the mic.
Thank you. Turning it over to Anne now.
Well, after that, I don't think I want to speak. I'm kidding, Kelly. I just wanted to let you know that at our last AGM, BPW Ontario did change our bylaws to be inclusive. So wherever it said she, her, it became they, them. And the very first section on membership says those who are women or identify as women can be members.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting us know that, even though I'm a member of BPW Ontario. I am a supporter of all the LGBTQ community, which includes trans people. And on behalf of the trans women out there, thank you for helping BPW Ontario be welcoming for them as well. Okay, now, is there any more discussion on this? And I'm sure we've gone over time, Anne, but yeah, okay. Is there any more discussion on this, or shall we? I'll reiterate the invitation for those who want to attend the event coming up on GBA, and turn it over to Shan.
Thanks, Chantel. I know we have no more pre-submitted questions, and if we have no more questions from the floor, I just want to acknowledge that we have Mina here that is also representing reproductive rights and justice. We have Amanda Devison representing the United Nations, Barbara Hall with work. We have Doris Hall with WEPS. We have Kelly with anti-human trafficking. And we also have Jenny here, who is a part of the International Association. So if anyone has any questions for them, or if there is no questions, if they would just like to take a few minutes, because this is being recorded, tell us what's going on. Perhaps it will, heighten some other further questions when people listen to the recording. Thank you.
Thank you for opening up the floor, Shan. I didn't write down everybody's name as you were going quickly. Are there any volunteers? Jenny, thank you for volunteering to be first up to the mic.
Hi, Chantel. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon across the country. Congratulations to BPW Canada on your first town hall meeting. I've been looking at the chat and commenting as well. Great discussions. I like the part about defending the name BPW. I mean, just from a local, provincial, national, international perspectives, and acknowledging the presence of many past presidents and past executives on this call. It's great that you're recording it, because this is something that is very, very useful. I think to those that are entering BPW, those that have been at BPW, those that have taken breaks from BPW, but I think the recording will be extremely important. And I would suggest maybe even picking snippets of this recording and being able to share it globally as well. Everyone may not have the time to see the entire recording, but there are some great messages in here that could be shared just in snippets, even through social media. As a past BPW Canada president, and as one occupying a seat on the international board, I must say that the whole idea of BPW being nonpartisan, it's important. I mean, of course, we all have, as individuals, certain opinions and certain perspectives. And I think that under BPW, we come together with the sole mandate to improve conditions for all women. And so, your discussions on, whether BPW should be open to just business and professional women, and how women might feel that they don't fit in, the understanding of our mandate should clearly be reiterated over and over again so that all women feel included. And when they feel excluded, they should know that there are those on this call and in this organization that are working towards that mandate, which is to improve conditions for all women. And that we all who are members of BPW Canada have been unemployed or, underemployed or, faced the same situations that they face now. So that, we've had children or we've been married and divorced and single and, in different stages in our lives, been in different socioeconomic statuses. So they need to understand, those potential members need to understand that we've been there, we've gone through it all. We want to work for all women, whether they're working or not, because at some point they will be there. At some point we have been there. And so it's really interesting, even from a global perspective, because sometimes when we're in our country, we're only thinking of perhaps our own backyard, or whether we are even across Canada, from east to west, from French to English, from young to old, well, not so young. I think that the diversity exists within our organization. We forget that even across Canada, even in this meeting and in this forum, we see the diversity that exists. Just by looking at this screen, I can see the diversity that exists just on this particular forum. So I want to congratulate you on your first town hall, and also for being able to represent women in all their diversity to further the common mandate to improve conditions for all women, no matter where they are across this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. You're always so eloquent. Okay, I'm gonna fangirl moment away. And
we have 15 minutes left.
Okay, so we're going to turn the mic over to Amanda and then Mina, and then we'll probably be at the time where it's, as Anne has pointed out, it's time to start wrapping up. So go ahead.
When it comes to the UNCSW update, so I have completed the summary report for CSW 67. That has been shared with the delegates and with the BPW Canada board. I sent it via email to Mary to ask her to add it to the BPW Canada website as well, so it's accessible to everyone. There's all kinds of great takeaways in there, and feedback from the delegates and kind of what that was like to be there. I think it was a very successful first time in person there for sure. And I'm looking forward to taking some learnings from that and applying them for CSW 68, which we're going to start working on now. So on Monday, an email should go out from the BPW Canada mailing list. I am hosting an information session on October 12th. It's 8 p.m. my time, so I'm in Atlantic, so that should be the latest, so you can work backwards from there depending on where in the country you are. I encourage everyone to please share it with your clubs. It's meant to be informal. People can ask questions. I'm going to do a presentation a bit of like, what is CSW, what does it mean to be a delegate, those type of things, but we want to make sure people understand what that is, so that if they're interested in applying this year, they kind of have a base of understanding of what does it mean, what are the obligations, what does it look and feel like to be there. So that's really what the information session is meant to be. And then we'll be looking to shortly after that, probably in November, actually do our call for delegates. So people will be able to apply for CSW 68. And then everything will be fast and furious shortly after that. So again, mark your calendars for October 12th. Keep an eye on your email tomorrow from the BPW Canada mailing list. If you're not on the mailing list, please sign up for the mailing list. Please share the information with your clubs for people who may be interested in learning more about CSW or what it means to be a delegate. And again, anyone ever has any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I'm available to kind of chat one-on-one or more collectively with clubs, depending on what you'd like it to look like. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm going to turn the floor over to Mina now.
Thank you. Amanda, you did a great job on the report. Very, very extensive. And Anne Harvey, hats off to you for all the work that you did at the Provincial Conference on Resolutions. A lot of heavy lifting and an excellent job. So I'm here to represent the Reproductive Rights and Justice Committee. This committee is a group of members from across Canada. I do want to point out that it is pro-choice and pro-life. There is information on the BPW Canada website under advocacy, BPW priority themes under reproductive justice and reproductive rights and justice. There are podcasts and webinars that you can take a look at. We've done 3 webinars already with the Justice Committee. There's a number of books and videos and movies that, again, have some information. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mina. Okay, is there anybody else from the floor who would like to share some information? And I'm hoping Amanda can put I know it's going out in the newsletter, Amanda, but if you could put the link for the event you were talking about on October 12th in the chat, that'll allow people to sign up. Okay, so I'm going to go to Anne and then Colleen. Go ahead, Anne.
I just wanted to let everybody know that BPW Ontario is continuing on with their speaker series. It's an online, accessible to anyone in the world to attend. Our programs and projects chair, I'm blanking. Oh my goodness, help me. Nancy Browers. Oh, wow. Is putting together a roundtable on ageism, and also and those will be on Thursdays, and the speaker series will be on Mondays. So we'll be getting that information out, and it would be great to see more people attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. I'm going to hand it over to Colleen.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're excited to be getting on with some of our advocacy issues, continuing from last year. As I mentioned earlier, we're having to prioritize a bit, but we will be having a meeting on October 23rd, where we're going to be asking all those that submitted resolutions this summer to get together, and maybe we can brainstorm some ideas on how we might want to implement some of these ideas. It'll also be a chance for everybody to come and get involved and just hear what some of the timely issues are right now, and maybe if someone's interested in taking that up in terms of getting a resolution out this year. Of course, we want to focus on action so we can see some change. Keep in mind also that November 6th, we will have a resolution writing workshop. It's going to be a bit earlier this year. We want to get it going. So please reach out if you have any questions. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Karen. And if I get my system working properly, I'm going to launch a poll while Karen's talking, just because everybody's dropping out and I'd like to get answers to the poll. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to share that BPW UK has a project jointly with BPW International to purchase a van for BPW Ukraine. It would be in Bulgaria, but the van would be used to provide supplies. If people needed transport to another location, that type of thing. So I'm just going to put on the site there. It is on the project page for BPW International, and they're having a second webinar. They had one, and they're going to have a follow-up for that. So if you want to attend, that's at 2:00 this afternoon. Ontario time, if you wanted to attend that, or you can have a look at the website, and if you wanted to contribute to that great cause. There were speakers there from BPW Ukraine, and it's just heartbreaking. So any donations to go towards purchasing this van would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. My other system won't let me ask the question. I don't want to log out of that system and then potentially close this meeting too early. So now I'm going to turn it over to Margot and carry on, Margot. Thank you.
Yeah. It was just to say that Jo Kinsey, who is the BPW UK president, she and Amelie from BPW France are also holding a webinar on this Thursday. It's at 7:00 UK time. So 2 o'clock Ontario, 11 o'clock BC, if anybody's interested. And as Karen said, it's an extremely moving thing to listen to these women who are there on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. And it's great to see people adding links to these upcoming events into the chat. Of course, we get them in our newsletters and things like that, but sometimes you hear about it right away, you can click on the link and register right away. Okay, anything else from the floor? We're getting to about the time where we wanted to wrap up, and I think we kind of jumped ahead into talking about upcoming events. So anything else from the floor for people wanting to share updates or upcoming events? Okay, I'm gonna turn the floor back to Shan, I believe. Sorry, Angie. Angie, do you have any other upcoming events and dates of interest that you would like to share?
No, everybody's covered everything that was on my list.
This is teamwork. BPW teamwork.
Don't forget convention, Angie.
Yes, of course, there's convention. That's a big one. Thank you, Karen. So yeah, convention is coming up in 2024. It will take place here in Moncton, and it will be on August 9th to the 11th. Those would be the dates at the Crown Plaza Hotel. The link for the rooms will be available shortly. And we will have a link for registration once we get some more logistical things on the ground in terms of our costs and sponsorships. We've been busy planning a way for it. A lot of the sponsorship packages are ready to go. We want to echo that we will be focusing a lot on our membership. We're not 100% down in our schedule yet, but we're looking to have more engagement, more workshops, panel of young women that would discuss kind of what the issues revolving around the women coming into the workforce and into high schools and universities, to hear their input and their value. But we're going to have some fun. Our cocktail party, we're looking to potentially have it at a local winery. And then once everything is wrapped up, we're planning a lobster cruise for anyone who wants to stay after. So just kind of some stuff to keep in mind so you can enjoy all of the activities.
Okay, I don't even like lobster. My mouth is watering, so you've got a good way of describing events. Okay, I thank you everybody for putting stuff in the chat. Thank you for telling us about convention. Is there anything else that people want to share before I turn this back to Shan? Okay.
Okay. So, oh, sorry, go ahead, Chantal.
Okay, I was going to try to launch a poll. I was really excited, but it didn't work. So my question is, I'm going to ask you out loud, would you like to hold this kind of town hall again? Yes or no? So just throw it in the chat so we can look at the chat after and see what the answer is. And then the other question is, how often? Annually, semi-annually, quarterly? I'm not saying we do it as often as quarterly, but just to get an idea from the folks who are still here, who've stuck it out this long, how often you think we should have this sort of event? And then while people are blowing up the chat, I'm going to turn it back to Shan.
Awesome. Thanks, Chantal. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone who attended today and taking, a couple hours out of your Saturday to join us at our first and hopefully an annual town hall meeting. It was great to have so many questions submitted and the questions that were answered live. Hopefully we got all your answers or all your questions answered. I'd like to also say a big thanks to the membership team that are here today. So we have Chantal Fraser, Doris Hall, Sharon Doran, Charmaine Grace, Angie, our president, Anne Harvey, and thank you to Shannon McNeil for doing some minutes for us today. Even though this is recorded, it's always great to read what happened, especially when you're really involved with what's going on and in the meeting. And I also want to say thank you to all the panelists for their input and their answers. And I was also going to say, Chantal, we'd like to, the membership team, we will meet, but I'd like to put together a short little survey to send out to all our participants today. And just to get a general idea as to what our members are thinking, if they're, like I said, if their questions were answered, or if they have any more real specific questions that they'd like us to answer, that would be great as well. So yeah, I appreciate everybody showing up today and giving us your time. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend. So thanks.
Okay, thank you, Shan. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you for doing those closing remarks. I just have to find my stop recording button.